So here are the finished products. I did this the same way as this. I just used a different pair of shorts so they're a little bit more high-waisted. And this is the one we just did. I really like how these turn out. Okay, let's begin. So this is that blue two-piece set that you guys just saw. This is the sweater before I cut it up and stuff. So what we're gonna do now is cut the sweater into two pieces. You want to make sure not to cut the top part too short that it looks like a boob cover. So make sure you cut about 2 to 3, maybe even 4 inches below the armpit. Now I'm taking this fabric crayon. I don't even know what it's called. Is it even called a fabric crayon? You can use a pencil, you can use a marker, anything just to mark off where we're gonna cut. Now I'm just taking a tape measure so it's easier for me to cut straight. My number one tip here is actually, like, right where you mark it, cut a little bit below that, because if where you marked it is too short for you, you can never go back and like regrow the fabric. So cut a little bit more than where you mark, just so if you still do want it shorter after that, you could still have that option to do so. Now that we have two pieces, we're gonna set the top part aside. That's gonna be our shirt of our two-piece set, and now we're gonna make the shorts. So with this bottom piece, I'm just making sure there aren't any folds and that the bottom edge matches up perfectly. This part is super important for when we begin cutting, so I suggest to pin it down, clip it down, anything to make sure that it doesn't ride up while we're cutting. So now you're probably thinking, how the hell are we going to turn this piece of fabric into shorts? But here, let's pause and visualize it. So with this rectangle, cut it in half. So now we have two squares. The left is going to be the top part of the shorts and the right is going to be the back part of the shorts. I know it doesn't make sense, but it'll make sense in a little bit. So now taking a pair of shorts that you want the shorts that you're making to look like, I'm just using these pajama shorts because I like the way they fit on me. So we're gonna fold them in half like I'm doing so right here. Make sure that you fold them perfectly, like they're one piece when they're folded. Making sure that the crotch part is folded really perfectly, since that so is lining up the crotch part to the edge of our fabric. I'm just gonna cut along where the shorts are, like you can see right here. It's kind of hard to explain, but hopefully you guys are catching my drift. So you could actually trace the pair of shorts that you put on top over so you don't lose your place, but I'm just cutting I'm cutting with it on top because it's easier. So now that you cut one side, you don't need the pair of shorts anymore. You can put that off to the side. I'm going to be taking that side that we just cut and we're going to fold it over to the other side like so. And what we're going to do next is sort of just like the same thing. We're going to be cutting along that part where we cut on the other side. It's really hard to explain, but just follow along and hopefully you guys aren't too lost. So now that we're done cutting that part out, you could unfold the piece and this is how it should look like. You're gonna have these two curves along each side, but right before we sew, we're gonna flip the fabric inside out and we're gonna cut along the side seams of the fabric. Basically where the two ends meet, we're gonna cut so we have two separate pieces. So what we're gonna do now, make sure that the two pieces line up perfectly. Of course, again, this is where you could pin it or clip it to make sure that it stays. But you know, YOLO, I didn't do it. So what we're gonna do is sew along the curves that we just cut. So I'm definitely not a professional. You could definitely hand sew this if you'd like. I just chose to use a sewing machine because I feel like it's faster and it's more secure when it comes to the finished product. So just sew along where we cut so that that end is sewn shut. So we're going to be doing that on both sides where we cut, so along that curved hem that we made. So after we're done sewing, this is how it should look like. Both sides where we cut should be sewn completely shut. So now going into the middle of the bottom edge of the fabric, we're going to flip it up and over like so. I know you guys are probably like, wait, what? So we're going to be doing that one more time. So going into the middle of our fabric, we're going to take the top part and the bottom part and we're going to be pulling them to the sides. So basically where we cut now becomes the middle and where we were holding now becomes the side. And now you can visualize the shorts even more. Now you can see that we have a right leg and a left leg. All that's left to do is sew the crotch area up right here, and we're going to be sewing that the same way that we did in the beginning of the video. So after we're done sewing everything up, the last thing to do is the waistband. So we're going to take our garter. I already pre-measured mine to my waist. So what we're going to do is measure how much material we need to fold over to cover up the garter for the shorts. So I'm just measuring up and folding all around to see how much I need to sew. What we're going to do next is sew all around that, but make sure to leave about 2 inches right before the two ends meet so we could thread the garter through. So there are various ways to do this. The most common way is getting a big safety pin and attaching it to the end and then using that to guide the garter through the fabric. But I couldn't find a safety pin, so I'm using this Eggs and Things honey bear keychain, and I cut a slit and I'm just attaching that onto the garter. This was actually super easy to use since it was chunky. You could easily feel it and maneuver it through the fabric. So I just did that. You can see it right here. So while weaving it through, make sure to hold the other end or watch it just so you don't end up pulling it all the way through, then you have to start all over. So after that's done, I'm going to take my keychain off and you're going to go ahead and sew the two ends together right there just so the garter is all one piece. So now that the garter is in there, we're just going to finish up the waistband by sewing up that hole. And now we're all done! Here are a pair of shorts. Just go ahead and take your top, and now we have our two-piece set! Yes! So you could go ahead and sew the bottom of this top if you want, but I like the whole raw edge look. I also made another set just using a brown sweater. The possibilities are endless, literally. You can use any sweaters that you want. So here's a little snippet of me showing off my two-piece sets. These are literally perfect for the winter, for cuddling, for some Netflix and chill dates. Just kidding, guys, but not kidding at the same time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Send me screenshots if you guys do decide to remake it. I just would love to see them. Thanks for watching. Bye!